Alright, so today I will be doing my cooked picks for Imavov versus Barallo. Now I already recorded this, but it fucked up again. It seems like every other video I try to do, I've had like 6 videos ready, by the way, until they weren't ready, until they just decided to corrupt. Anyways, let me stop my bitching and get to this main event. First, we have Nasruddin Imavov versus Kyle Barallo. I'm going with Nasruddin Imavov. I think he's the better striker out of the two, and guys, rewatch the Barallo versus Abus Magomedov fight. Barallo looked so mid. He looked disgustingly mid against what's his fucking name? Abus. And even though Abus is decent, it's just Abus isn't top 5 level to me. And for Kyle to just have a sort of close fight where Abus could have won a round, and this is like when Abus still had extremely shitty cardio. And then you have other fights like his Jared Cannonier fight, even though he went to war with Jared Cannonier, which I don't think is the best look. Now, to be fair, I will give Kyle Barallo some credit, right? Because he had Jared Cannonier out badly. In the 5th round, if you rewatch it, bruh, he should have probably gotten a finish there. And if you compare it to Imavov's finish of Jared Cannonier, I mean, it's night and day. Like, that fight was stopped where Jared Cannonier was still up and defending himself, compared to where Kyle is like literally stiffening Jared Cannonier and hitting him as he's falling down. I mean, it was brutal. Well, anyways, I'm going with Imavov just by being slightly more refined in the striking. I do think out of the two, he's the slightly better striker, and I do kind of worry for the grappling at points, simply because, I mean, Brendan Allen is holding you inside control for a whole round. Kyle Barallo is an extremely good grappler, so that is something that I worry about. I do think Imavov will get held up against the cage in this fight too, but I'm still going to go with Imavov improving, and I do know Kyle will probably be improved too, since it's been a while. But I still think Imavov has fought the better levels of competition for the longer amount of time, so I will be going with Imavov winning a very, very close, very competitive decision. Alright, so I had to move on to the Tapology website because the UFC site was just being shit. So anyway, next we have the co-main event, and Benoit Saint Denis versus Mauricio Ruffi. Now, I am kind of tempted to go with Benoit Saint Denis. Actually, in my last recording of this, I went with Benoit Saint Denis just by being a marauder, but now that I've had some time to think about it, I could excuse the Poirier loss, maybe because he had staff, but bruh, the Moicano fight, fuck man, it's so damn tempting. Alright, I'm gonna be boring, and I'm gonna go with Ruffi. I'm sorry, it's just like, bruh, Benoit Saint Denis doesn't move his fucking head. He hasn't improved on striking at all. He has no footwork, no head movement, no counter striking ability. All he has is a big right hand and a takedown. If Ruffi can defend a takedown, I think he'll be fine. Alright, 2 whole days later, and now we're back to the picks. I don't know what the fuck happened. Next, we have the feature fight, Balagioki versus Mason Jones. I was kind of tempted to go with Balagioki, but I've kind of swapped it back to Mason Jones over the past 2 days. And now, let me just see the tail that Jesus. Jesus, I think that's kind of harsh. I mean, 19% for Balagioki. I thought it was going to be like maybe 70-30, maybe 60-40 for Mason Jones, but 19%. I mean, I guess I could kind of see it because Balagioki against short notice competition, he hasn't really looked too crazy good against Michael Aswell. Looked good in the first round, but I think Michael Aswell actually took a round off of Balagioki, which doesn't really look too good. And then you have him versus Timmy Kuumba, short notice, split decision, and then obviously he got submitted instantly against Chris Duncan. Understandable, Chris Duncan is a god. But to be fair, even though I'm picking Mason Jones, I'm kind of iffy on it, because I mean, he went against a 40-year-old Jeremy Stephens and kind of struggled with Jeremy Stephens, who had only been boxing for years. I mean, he hadn't even really been grappling. So how much can I really rate Mason Jones' grappling on somebody who hadn't really grappled for years and was only ever focusing on boxing and BKFC? I don't really know. So I'm not really going to bank on Mason Jones submitting Balaji, but I do think being more well-rounded will help Mason Jones here. And the pressure and volume, I think, will also help Mason Jones here. So I will slightly go with Mason Jones. Next, we have Modestas Bukauskas versus Paul Craig. I'm going to go with Modestas Bukauskas, and even though it's kind of tough to pick Paul Craig fights sometimes because you think this man could fluke a win out of nowhere, he hasn't done so in a few years, so I think we're pretty safe with this Bukauskas pick. Bukauskas' last win was against Ion Cutelaba, where he was very, very gun-shy, was barely throwing. But he somehow won because Ion Cutelaba was landing way more volume. But every single time Bukauskas would land, he would land damage, and his shots actually did something compared to Ion Cutelaba, who's just jabbing and hitting air. So yeah, I'm going with Bukauskas because I think even if he takes down Paul Craig and gets up kicked, I don't think he'll have an Oscar-winning performance like Rodolfo Bellato. Next, we have Patricio Pitbull versus Lozine Kita. I think Lozine Kita is a champion for Octagon or something. I'm going to be going with Patricio Pitbull. Even though he's 38 years old, I'm going with him simply because of the grappling. That's what us Pitbull pickers are picking Pitbull for. It's because of the grappling, because we haven't really seen Kita's grappling, even though he's an extremely high level striker, extremely fast twitched. I think if Pitbull can get a few takedowns and make Kita use energy to get up, I think Pitbull is going to be able to win 2 and 3. I understand why people are picking Kita, because I can just see Kita using his speed, using his slightly superior striking to just like pick apart Pitbull, kind of like Yair did. But I don't think losing Kita is on the level of Yair, so I am going to be going with Pitbull. Risky pick. Losing Kita is very high level, but I am going to go with Pitbull because I think Pitbull has the grappling advantage, a very significant grappling advantage too. So next we have William Gomez versus Robert Ruchilla. I don't know who the fuck Robert Ruchilla is. I'm going with William Gomez. Anyways, next we have Umar Sy versus Brendan Ribeiro. I could see Brendan Ribeiro chinning Umar Sy somehow, because even though we've never seen it before, it could fucking happen. I mean, it happened with Vitor Petrino. I think it could happen with Umar Sy. This is light heavyweight after all. So yeah, I'm going with Umar Sy on this one, but I am kind of iffy on it because light heavyweight. Next, we have Mohsin Taibura versus Auntie Delija. I'm actually going to go with Auntie Delija because even though he got completely cooked in his last loss, Marcin Tybura on the feet is so bad, or he's just so unbelievably mid on the feet. And I think who's gonna win, a guy with power who's not really crazy good on the feet, or a guy that doesn't have any power and who's mid on the feet? I think I'm gonna go with the guy with significantly more power, the guy that has good cardio too. Like, I've rewatched some of his fights, he has some pretty damn good cardio. And I'm going to go with the guy that can defend the grappling of Marcin Tybura. And he can. Tybura is almost 40. Holy shit. So yeah, even though not many people are going with Delija, I'm actually going to go with him, I think. I'm going to go with Delija. I'm kind of regretting this now as I'm thinking about it, because Tybura is decent. He is a decent heavyweight, and all of us know that UFC, even shitty UFC heavyweights are a different level. But I'm still gonna go with Auntie Delija. Marcin Tybura is 40 fucking years old. I'm not picking this guy, bruh. Next, we have Axel Sola versus Reese McKee. Look, I know this kind of sounds surprising, but I'm actually gonna be going with Reese McKee. I actually remember his fight with Daniel Frunza. I think I picked Daniel Frunza, and Reese McKee beat the shit out of Daniel Frunza in the first round, got a 10-8, and Daniel Frunza in the second round was actually doing quite decent until it got stopped, just because Reese McKee fucked him up so bad in the first round. So yeah, I'm actually going to be going with Reese McKee because, again, UFC level is different, and this guy is moving up from lightweight against a pretty damn big welterweight, 6'2", 78-inch reach, against the guy finally coming up with a win against the guy who's only 29, so he is going to be improving. And people forget, man, this guy had a close fight with fucking, what's his name, Chidi Ninjaquani. Next, we have Sam Patterson versus Trey Waters. I'm going to go with Sam Patterson because Trey Waters, even though he's had some very good fights, he had a war against Billy Ray Goff, I still think his striking is kind of sloppy at times, and he just hasn't really shown me good performances like Sam Patterson has. And Sam Patterson moving up to welterweight has been amazing. I mean, he's looked very, very good. Has a very, very good ground game. Has very decent striking. I mean, sleeping Danny Barlow is pretty damn impressive, I think, in my opinion. And I actually picked Danny Barlow against Sam Patterson, so yeah, I'm gonna go with Sam Patterson on this one. I do worry sometimes because Sam Patterson does leave his chin open, but again, Trey Waters doesn't really have crazy power like that. I will be going with Sam Patterson here. Next, we have Brad Tavares versus Robert Brysick. I'm going with Brad Tavares, dude. Robert Brysick lost to a guy who's not even in the UFC anymore. Yes, he has a little bit of power, but Brad Tavares is a marauder. Yeah, I'm going with Brad Tavares. Next, we have Hanaf Fakhretdinov versus Andreas, that anti-Semite Gustafsson. Yeah, I'm going with Andreas Gustafsson. This fight is very, very close, but with Hanaf Fakhretdinov, even though he doesn't have the worst cardio, he does slow down in fights, so I could see Hanaf Fakhretdinov having a good first round, but the pace being so damn high that Andreas Gustafsson takes over from the middle of the second round and onward. So maybe a close second round, and Andreas wins a pretty dominant third round. Anyways, next we have Sean O'Bannon versus Sam Hughes. I'm going to go with the crafty vet in the strawweight division. I'm going to go with Sam Hughes because it seems like every single time she fights somebody with a decent record in WMMA, she beats them. So yeah, she's just very crafty, pretty well-rounded. And I think that's enough to beat Sean O'Bannon, who all she really has is some decent kicks, and that's it. So yeah, I'm going to go with Sam Hughes decision. And those are my picks for Imavov versus Caio Borralho. I'm going to put my picks in right now. Alright, so I'm going to go with Sam Hughes decision. I'm going with Andreas Gustafsson, grueling decision for both fighters. This is going to be a very good fight. I'm going with Tavares decision, Sam Patterson decision. A lot of people are going with submission. I could see that, but I'm just kind of playing it safe with the decision. I'm going with Reese McKee decision. I'm going with Ante Delija decision. I'm feeling so weird because 21% of people are picking Delija, which is pretty damn bad. Like, god damn, how bad is this pick? I have Umar Sy decision, which is something I'm very iffy about, super iffy about, but I can't pick Brenson Rivera. He's just too unreliable. I'm going with Gomez decision. I'm going with Pitbull decision. I'm going with Farazian decision. I'm going with Bukowski's decision, which looks kind of surprising considering everybody has him by KO. I think Bukowskis is just going to pick apart Paul Craig from range, maybe hurt him, but I don't think he's going to sleep him. I think he's just going to pick apart Paul Craig, hit him with the more hard shots, and I think he's going to win a decision. Then I'm going to go with Mason Jones decision, and I'm going with a Ruffy KO TKO round 1, because honestly, if Ruffy doesn't get like a KO TKO round 1, Benoit Saint Denis' chances go up by a lot. Like, I really think more people should be picking Benoit. I'm so tempted to pick Benoit Saint Denis, but you know, fuck it. I'd rather be wrong with everybody else than be wrong with no one, so I am going to be going with Ruffy on that one. And then in the main event, I have Imavov versus Caio Borralho. So yeah, those are my picks for UFC Paris, Imavov versus Borralho. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. Make sure to comment for the algorithm for me. And yeah, hope you guys have a good day.